In the last 24 hours, we've seen YouTube, Reddit, and Twitch take some major steps to enforce their terms of service and weed out what they believe to be hateful content, content that encourages violence, content that violates their terms of service. And once again, conservatives are going absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as I like to say, claiming that this is all about targeting conservatives, that every platform on the internet other than what's that new one, Parler or something like that, arguing that every platform on the internet or just about has anti-conservative bias. Everybody's biased against conservatives. Now, this may be a tough pill to swallow for the American right, but most political violence is right wing. And I'm going to get to the details of that later. And I know, like, they talk about Antifa. Antifa has never killed anyone to my knowledge. Eco-terrorism, right? Like it's not untrue that we have seen political violence from the left, but the vast majority of the political violence and the violent rhetoric is on the right. That's just a reality. And that means that if you have a policy as a platform which says we don't allow violent rhetoric, we don't allow encouraging violence against groups of people based on membership in a protected class, if you enforce those policies, by definition, you're going to sweep up more conservatives. Now, if the policy was one that either implicitly or explicitly targeted a protected class based on race, nationality, etc., they might have a case. But what you have here is merely a reflection of the reality that the vast majority of violent language, violent rhetoric, and actual violence is on the right. Now, I'm going to get to that a little bit later. First, what happened? Who was banned? Number one, Donald Trump's own Twitch channel was temporarily suspended. Hateful content is not allowed on Twitch. The Trump Twitch channel broadcast that old speech Trump made about when Mexico sends us its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending, rapists and drug addicts and whatever. They rebroadcast that. Also, they broadcast Trump's Tulsa, Oklahoma rally for a week or two ago. And there also, Trump told this story about it's 1:00 in the morning and a bad hombre, as Donald Trump likes to say. Of course, the word is pronounced hombre, but as Trump says, hombre, you call 911. It was this kind of like violent imagery about Hispanics. That also apparently violating Twitch's policies. And Twitch says this violated terms of service. And good for them. I mean, there's absolutely no controversy there whatsoever. Reddit banned a controversial pro-Trump subreddit called The Donald. It's a cesspool of some of the worst pro-Trump propaganda around. And Reddit said that subreddit promotes hate based on identity or vulnerability. They regularly post spam as well as malicious attempts to interfere with other Reddit communities, and thus the Donald subreddit was caught up in the ban. Also, by the way, it wasn't only the right in this case. The ostensibly left-wing subreddit Chapo, I don't even know, Trap House was also caught up in it. And then sort of like the really big news over on YouTube, YouTube has banned conspiracy theorist Stefan Molyneux, white nationalist David Duke, white nationalist Richard Spencer, and some others. The reason there, according to YouTube, is that all of those channels are regularly violating hate speech policy and policies that protect specific classes of people from targeted discrimination. Stefan Molyneux actually posted a hilarious tweet in response to this where he said, quote, YouTube just suspended the largest philosophy conversation the world has ever known. Philosophy. Yeah, that's a hilarious way to describe it. But needless to say, this is happening. So first of all, really, Trump should probably be banned from Twitter. I mean, if you just want to do a cold, unbiased reading of Twitter's policies, Trump shared, the white power video on Sunday and deleted it. Trump regularly encourages the bullying of individuals on Twitter. Clearly, Trump violates Twitter's guidelines. And if Twitter was to take those seriously, Trump would have been banned. That hasn't happened. Important to note. Number two, you're seeing all of the same people who insist companies should be allowed to do whatever, nobody should be forced to bake a cake for a gay wedding. All of those same people are now saying the government should force Twitch, YouTube, Reddit, whatever, those companies should be forced to allow other people's hate speech to exist there. Now, they'll come back and say, hate speech is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, well, you don't run YouTube. YouTube runs YouTube. So what matters is what is hate speech from the perspective of YouTube. Now, I've sometimes suffered at the hand of YouTube's whims. You all know that when it came to demonetization on a number of different issues, when it came to YouTube couldn't tell the difference between an actual white nationalist channel versus me criticizing white nationalism. Like, listen, I don't pretend that I am not pushing for what would always be best for me. I may not agree with YouTube's decisions, but how do you say YouTube must be forced to publish what they believe to be hate speech? My personal view is that more speech is generally better than less speech. And yet, how can these companies not have terms of service and be allowed to enforce them? They can, and they are enforcing them. Now, to go back to what I said at the beginning, the reality is that most political violence and hateful rhetoric is on the right. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist on the left. I know people like to talk about Antifa, etc., but we have to talk about proportion. Look at the Anti-Defamation League's report on murder and extremism in 2019. 76% of murders resulting from political extremism, 76% were right-wingers of various flavors. 3% were left-wingers, including anarchists and black nationalists. I think there's a debate to be had over whether black nationalism is really on the left. I would argue it's probably not, but okay. And then 20% were Islamic extremists. And again, there's debate over whether Islamic extremists are on the left or right. I believe they're on the right. When you believe that your religion should be the law of the land and you're willing to kill over your religious beliefs, that's not any kind of left-wing belief that I've ever seen. But regardless, these are not small margins. The numbers are ultra clear. So when YouTube or Twitch or whoever say, we're going to sweep up and enforce our policy when it comes to violent rhetoric, targeting of people based on identity, etc., of course more right-wingers are going to be caught in it because that type of content is disproportionately coming from that side of the political spectrum. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I want to hear from you. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman, and I hope that you've subscribed to the free daily audio podcast that we put out every single day. It's free, my friends, completely free. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and all of your favorite podcast apps. Privacy.com is one of our sponsors, and they're giving you $5 just for using their free service at privacy.com/Pakman. Privacy is a service I've been using for a while now. I love it. It saves me a bunch of headaches. It's completely free, and it's very quick to set up. And here's how it works. When you pay for something online or over the phone, instead of exposing your real credit card number, Privacy lets you generate virtual card numbers. The payments are withdrawn from your checking account, but your real card number stays completely private, and you do it all with one click. You can autofill the card number in your web browser, on the phone. You can create 12 virtual cards a month. You can set spending limits, freeze them, delete them whenever you want. I especially love it for free trials where you need to give a credit card number because I can destroy the virtual card number as soon as I give it to the company, and I know I won't be charged in the future. If you're ordering food over the phone, why do I need to give a restaurant my real card number if I don't have to? Companies don't have to know who you are. Your real credit card number is protected from the data breaches that happen, unfortunately, more often than we would like, and it's completely free. They do have a paid version with different tiers where you can create more virtual credit card numbers per month, cashback rewards, extra security features. But go ahead and sign up for the free service. It's a no-brainer. Companies can't charge you unexpectedly. You're protected from identity theft. It costs you nothing. And Privacy is giving you $5 to spend just for signing up when you go to privacy.com/Pakman.